questions for Kyle go to Randy.
That was my question. For Kyle now, what would 10 wins mean? You got two cracks at it, obviously. If it's in Phoenix, it's double meaning. But just what would 10 wins mean in this first season?
Well, I wish NASCAR would count 10 wins because we have it already. But no, it's yeah, like as Cliff mentioned, it's really cool to be mentioned in the same category. I would love to join them in 10 official wins. But yeah, it's it's pretty crazy. You know, I didn't know what to expect coming into this season. I knew I would have lots of opportunities to get wins, but never did I think that I would win as often as we have. So just proud of everybody's hard work all season long. I think, Cliff and his leadership really, propels us to be as confident and our execution has always been good, and we continue to make that better throughout the year. And I think that's stems from his leadership and as he mentioned, the leadership that he learned from Jimmy and Chad.
Go to Nate and back to Harry.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. I got a couple, Kyle. Just to follow up on what you were saying about this 3-race winning stretch being tougher than the first one. I get, like, obviously the Roval was tough, but you guys have been really good on the 550 tracks. Can you elaborate a little bit, like what made this stretch? Is it the playoff factor? Like, what makes this 3-race stretch tougher?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of our wins that we had earlier this year. I think it started at the 600, and then we went to Sonoma, then Nashville, and we dominated all those races. I think we won every stage, maybe in them, and won the races. So it's kind of like we were out there in cruise control in a way and winning. Where this, the Roval, we had our alternator issue, had to change a couple batteries, change the alternator belt, somehow won, shockingly. And then, Texas last week kind of felt like those wins that we had earlier this year. And then today, I wasn't bad. I felt like Willing was way better than I was. And I thought Chase and I were pretty equal. And then we got off sequence on tires. I got into the wall, so we had to repair damage. And I think that the fight that all the playoff guys are doing, trying to get wins, makes the racing crazier too. So, those two races were definitely much tougher and took a lot more perseverance to win. So I think that makes this streak really special.
Right. I guess you had 4 wins in a row, if we are counting Texas All-Star Race. The other one I had for you is Denny was talking about what a game changer the wind was off of turn 2 and how it made it really treacherous running the wall. I'm just wondering, like, did you sense that, and does it play into your hands a little bit when it suddenly gets a lot harder for guys chasing you to run the wall when that's your strength?
Yeah, so instantly, after we had that delay early on, the wind picked up kind of out of nowhere. Like, I don't know how much it picked up, but it was a lot. People's canopies were blowing off their pit boxes and stuff. And so, yeah, it was a huge crosswind for us. And, yeah, I mean, it caught me off guard at first. I went off turn 2, and it's like somebody, like, shoved my car and pushed me, a half a groove up. And I made a quick mental note of that and how the balance was into 3 and kind of adjusted. And I felt like it must have calmed down a little bit towards the end of the race because I didn't quite have that feel off of 2 like I had for a while. So, yeah, I don't know. It's Kansas, for whatever reason, is typically like the only track I feel like that affects the balance of the race car with the wind. A lot of times it'll be a tailwind off of 2 down into 3, and you'll be really loose into 3. But the crosswind today was odd, and we had the headwind off of 4, so I really felt like that kind of opened up some lanes over there. It had the opposite effect maybe off of 2, but off of 4, I felt like I could run the bottom there before I got into the wall and got damaged. I felt like I could run the bottom really well in 3 and 4, and it was still faster up top, but I could make ground up on the bottom and catch those guys at the end of the second stage and be not bad down there in the third stage also.
Go to Harry.
Harry Loomis, Griffin Media. A couple questions, Kyle. I remember back in May around Circuit of the Americas, we were talking about how wide open the season was with about 12 different winners in the first 13, 14 or so races, and now all of a sudden you're sitting here with 9 wins, your second straight 3-race win streak on the season. Just what changed for you guys?
I don't think anything's really changed for us. We were winning back then. That was right before we went on our first streak. And I had run second, I think, 3 times in a row then. So nothing's really changed much other than we've been capitalizing more to get those wins now lately. I feel like our race car has been just as good kind of all year long. We got off for 2 or 3 weeks after Pocono, and since then we've been back, hitting just as hard, if not harder than we were earlier this year.
And then second question, we mentioned that one more win will put you at 10, first time since 07. Second 3-race win streak of the season. I think that's the first time since Dale Earnhardt in 87. What does it mean to put yourself in company like that with drivers that great?
Yeah, it's neat. I just hope we can. I don't know if it's like hard for me to think if people would really remember it if you don't win the championship. Now at this point, so not that it adds pressure, but you could read into it adding pressure. That I want to win the championship even more to cap off what's been a great season. So that's my goal, and I hope we can finish it off with being mentioned in one of the top 5 greatest seasons ever.
Hi, Mark Tollickson, Rowdy Maglite Racing Media. You didn't go and play in the dirt Friday night at Lakeside. Was that by design, or and when you do get to drive your sprint car, does that translate to make you better in the stock car?
I didn't really hear the second part of the question, but I was not at Lakeside. We didn't have plans to run it. Paul, my crew chief, he was racing Trophy Cup this weekend out in California with Buddy Kofoid, and they were able to win that. So, I know. Yeah, I hadn't planned on running Lakeside all year long.
Are you able to translate driving your sprint car and take that into the stock car? I know they're completely different, but you seem to be able to have that touch.
Well, I do it more than anybody. So it didn't come that naturally. Maybe in the beginning, but as often as I do it, it does end up becoming natural. And I think I learn things in every race that I can put forward to any race and any race car that I run. So for sure, the dirt stuff helps pavement stuff. Pavement stuff helps dirt stuff. It all, to me, it's just another race car.
Let's go to Jenna and Jerry, then back to Bob.
Hey, I think I heard you say you want to have one of the top 5 seasons.
Don't
Okay.
I don't know if it's top 5, but it's
Yeah.
a good,
Well, my question was going to be what are some seasons that stand out to you?
Well, I think obviously Jimmy and Jeff's.
The year they went back and
any of
forth?
Dale Senior's, seasons, I don't really know off of the top of my head. I know he's had 7 championships, so somewhere in there, I'm sure he's won a ton of races also and had great finishes, each and every weekend. But I guess maybe that'd be a question for the statisticians out there in this room, the Bob Pockrases in the back there to rank it. But I just really want to win a championship and see where it stacks up.
So, at this stage, how do you feel if you don't win a championship this year?
I don't know. I've tried not to think about it, and I think the more wins you get, hopefully we're winning the championship at Phoenix. But I feel like the more wins that we've gotten will make that feeling, if I happen to not win, make it easier to swallow, I think, just because it has been a great year, and it's it comes down to one race there at Phoenix, and it's a different style track than we've been winning on. So, but I don't know. Like I said, I try not to think about it. We'll see how the feeling is. Hopefully, we're celebrating after Phoenix, and I don't have to accept the fact that we didn't win a championship. But either way, yes, it's been a good season, but I want to cap it off with what we all want. Not necessarily. No, I don't. No, I don't. This package, it allows other people to be faster there, and I was really good there. If we were there with the low downforce and more horsepower, for sure, I would want to be at Homestead. I feel like we could crush them there, but I don't think I can do that in this package at Homestead, and I feel like at Phoenix, I've got a better shot than I would at Homestead in this package.
Let's go to Jerry.
Hey, Kyle, Jerry Jordan, KickingTheTires.net. A couple of the drivers, different manufacturers, are talking about you're just on a roll. And it's like they were saying they would do the same thing if you had, if they had the cars, the talent, everything. They know that they're racing at the same level as you, but you're like unstoppable right now. When your competitors are saying that you're unstoppable, what does that do for your confidence level?
Well, I think for our team, it raises our confidence, not just myself. But this is a tough series, and it goes in swings, and I'm thankful that we've only got 2 races left. So, because last time we were on a streak like this, we fell off for about a month. So, I'm glad that we're peaking again at a good point in the season. But like I said, it's a tough series, and there was I don't feel like I had the best car today, and we won. So I just think it's a team sport, and our team is performing at a very high level, and I think the confidence that we gain each and every week is a big factor.
I will go to Bob and then to Dustin.
Bob Pockris, Fox Sports. Do you wish Phoenix was next week? Like, are you getting anxious? Are you like, man, let's get this and let's see if I can do it?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, knowing that I have a shot to race for a championship, like the anticipation definitely rises each day. So in a way, yes, I wish we could just go to Phoenix tomorrow and get it done and get racing. But I am excited to get to Martinsville. I'm always excited to get to Martinsville until I start turning laps and I realize that I, not learned anything from the times before. But yeah, we ran good there earlier this year. Ran 5th, finished 5th. So now we've got the number 1 pit stall, I would imagine, and starting from the pole, and hopefully we can stay up front and try and get a win at my toughest racetrack. I don't know. I think to me, I haven't lived it yet. We're not into the week of Phoenix yet, but I feel like Chili Bowl, I always run early in the week. I usually, I've won however many prelim nights now, and then I sit all week and watch all these other racers go out there, and I like psych myself out every year. Like, man, they look better than I do. They're fast. I'm gonna beat. It's gonna be hard to beat them and this and that. But I think with Phoenix and how this is, like, we just show up and well, we get to practice and stuff, but we get to race and all that. I don't know. I think there's less time for me to psych myself out because I'm not just sitting in the stands watching these guys race. Like, I'm still out there racing in these weeks and winning and gaining confidence and all that. So I don't know if that answers it, but I feel like I psych myself out every year at Chili Bowl, and I don't think I'll do that in this deal.
I will go to Dustin and back up here to Sterling.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Kyle, you got your first Cup win in your 100th start, and it was for such a long time. You're like, when's Kyle going to win? When's Kyle going to win? And I know there were a lot of circumstances, but you've won like 17 of the last 150 plus. So when you have, as you're having this season that very few have had and winning as much as you have, the struggles earlier in your career, does that give you a better appreciation of what, or what kind of appreciation does it give you of what you're able to accomplish at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes me appreciate those wins that I had back then even more, because we've been able to click them off at a good rate this year, and I went winless forever, and then finally got a win. And then 2017 we had a great year, and then the next 2 years, I didn't really have amazing seasons. So, it just makes me appreciate those moments even more because it's so hard to win a Cup race, and when it makes me realize too, like, how much we accomplished in the 42 is something to be very proud of. You're seeing the I guess lack of resources in a way compared to what we have at Hendrick Motorsports. So yes, now getting to see both sides of it, it's amazing we won as much as we did and ran as well as we did. So, yeah, I think it makes me proud of those years even more.
You got a follow-up, Dustin?
To follow up, you talked earlier today, and you talked here about times almost kind of psyching yourself out or thinking about too much, or even with what your success and talent. So, when you were having those struggles earlier, as you just talked about in Cup, even with the resource differences, did you ever question what you were doing, or if you were going to meet the expectations, and did that become a burden at any point?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like for a long time, I could have been viewed as the most overly hyped driver in the Cup Series. I think, because I think everybody saw the potential, and I could sometimes, I knew, or I thought the potential was there to have seasons like I've had now this year, but you just don't know if, you're lacking on equipment and stuff like that, or if it's just you. So, yes, I think back then it's like, man, maybe I'm not as good in a stock car as some people think that I might be, or as good as I want to be. But I think, the stars aligned with me being here at Hendrick Motorsports and with Cliff Daniels, and yeah, the resources are there to now showcase what I hoped I could succeed with.
Go to Sterling and then back to Jenna.
Sterling Price, KCOU Sports. Kind of going off the last question in terms of trying not to psych yourself out. Do you and the team put more emphasis on preparing for Phoenix over the next couple of weeks, or is it just more of a one race at a time approach and putting as much effort to try to win at Martinsville?
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're already in motion on our Phoenix car, which they would have been had I not, won either of these two races, just because it's we race Sunday at Martinsville and they have to leave Tuesday for Phoenix. So that's already been in motion. So I don't think now at this point anything changes. I think, we prepare for Martinsville. We want to go there and run good and win. And like I said, things are already in motion on the Phoenix car. So I think me sitting at home, yeah, I mean, like I've already, looked at some Phoenix video from earlier this year, and I'll probably watch the Championship 4 from last year this week, just to try and, like I said earlier, the anticipation is already there. So trying to just study and get ready.
And I'll make this next one really short. In your mind, are you the championship favorite?
I don't know. I think looking at the drivers in the round of 8, you can make a strong case for every single one of us why we could win the championship at Phoenix. So I don't know. I don't think you can pick a favorite. I think maybe, yes, you can look at me as being the favorite because of the momentum and stuff that we're on and all that, but I can make a case for any one of the other 7 drivers why they could beat me and beat any of us. Anybody could win, I think, in the final 8 right now.
Go to Jenna.
So my question's actually from Chris Knight, because they don't have a way to ask questions up there. He said that you've often said Martinsville is not one of your best tracks. Will you be okay if you do not dominate next week and just have a top 10 or average day?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, for how I've ran at Martinsville in my career, I don't expect to go there to dominate. So if I don't dominate, I don't think it's going to affect my mind or anything like that. I ran 5th there earlier this year, and I was like so happy. Probably one of the happiest runs I've had this year, just because it's a place that's been so tough on me. So just a hard place for me to get into a rhythm, and it takes me like half the race to get into a rhythm there. And but I think having that was really like our first tiny track that we've ran to that point in the season. And I think having that data point, our car will be even better going back, and hopefully we can, lead some laps and maybe get a win.
How far have you come from that first race at Martinsville when you crashed and your cat vomited and everything went wrong?
Well, I blew up, I think, my first time to Martinsville, and I think I ran there in 2013. I don't know. I feel like I would run around like 18th to 27th every time I went there. And then getting there in Hendrick equipment, I realized like setup is a lot better in the 5 there, and HMS, and was able to see the leaders kind of the whole time earlier this year. So yeah, I don't know. It's still just a really tough place, and I hope someday it'll click for me there. I know my car is always going to be better there than me. But hopefully we can hit on some things, and I'll do a lot of studying this week and look at how Chase gets around there, and Truex, who's also really good, Denny. I mean, everybody's got kind of different styles, so it's like really hard to study, and pick a style and know that it's going to click with you. But I do get excited to go to Martinsville every time because it's going to be a challenge, and I look forward to becoming better there. So I get excited to go to Martinsville.
Or go to Justin.
Thank you, Justin Parma with the Columbia, Missouri. And Kyle, you've won back-to-back-to-back races is now, and that is an extreme accomplishment in NASCAR. However, it is even tougher to go 4 for 5 or even 5 for 5. Are you a little bit concerned that you may have peaked just a little too soon going into the championship race 2 weeks from now?
No. There's only 2 races left, so I'm not.
All right, and then a follow-up question. Obviously, taking out the title besides, what is the story of Kyle Larson this season, in your own words?
I don't know. I think the last 2 years on the racetrack have been extremely successful. I think I've won 46 races last year, and I think I'm at 29 right now this year. So, yeah, just really, really cool, and still have like probably 12 or so more races left this year. So I don't know. It's just been a successful year on the track. I think off the track has been a lot of fun. Start my own foundation and doing things with that. Stuff with my family. Owen's playing baseball and just doing normal dad stuff is cool. I didn't really have much time to do that. Our kids weren't old enough to do fun things like that. So, yeah, I think both on and off the track, I'm in a great spot. So, personally. So, yeah, I don't know. The year's not over, so it's hard for me to close the book on the story.
Any further questions for Kyle? All right, Kyle, appreciate the time. Congrats on another dub, and we'll see you next weekend.
Thank you.